Welcome to the Planet Pearl video tutorial, double knitting, part 3 of 3. All right, so we're working along on our charted pattern here that we started in part 2. And this is the row that we're currently going to work on. Now, don't panic as you watch me do this because we're intentionally going to make a mistake on this row, and I'm going to show you how to unwork your stitches, which is a little different than when you're working on a regular one-sided project. So we're working on the contrast side, so we're going to purl the first and last stitches to give us that nice chain along the side, which will look nice with our cast on and bind off edges. And then we're going to count back. So that was our first pair of stitches, one box. So this next one is a contrast stitch. So we knit with the red and purl with the yellow. Since the background is the yellow, the contrast is the red. And that is the second box, working back. And then we have two background stitches, the background color being yellow. So we'll knit with the yellow, since that's what's going to show. It's our background color there. And purl with the red. Remember, always reverse for the second stitch. Now this will be knit with the yellow, because it's also a background color stitch, and purled with the red. And we've now completed the stitches for 4 boxes. And you'll see this is where I went off the rails a little. So the next stitch, the next 2 stitches, that's 2, 2, 1, and then the double stitch. All right, so I finished this row, and I'm checking my work. So I'm looking at pairs of stitches, and I had obviously confused myself as to where I was on my chart. So I'm going to show you now how to undo a row of stitches. Now we have a video for how to unknit and how to unpurl, and these are the 2 stitches that need to be changed, how to unknit and unpurl. But it's a little different when you've got a 2-sided fabric. So let's work back. And first we're going to need to undo this stitch. So we'll put the needle back through to the stitch below, pull it off. And we're just treat that as if it's a single stitch like we've all done all along. Now we're going to need to undo one layer at a time. Now this is going to twist the stitch when I take it off, but it's easier for me to show it to you. So you're going to first undo the front stitch, that's the knit stitch, and it actually helps if you hold on to the needle. That's the bad thing about these giant needles. Then you're going to pull both yarns back in the front. So basically you're working just in reverse of what you were doing. So you're going to move both yarns and then take off that purl stitch, move both yarns back, take off the knit stitch. Now remember, when you take these stitches off, if they're twisted when you take them off, so that the front leg is in the back leg's in the front, you can tell because it'll feel tight. Just knit and purl through the back loops as you work it back onto the needle. So once we've unworked what needs to get unworked, then we go back and rework that row. So now here we are, all finished, everything where it belongs, finally. And you can see our positive and negative designs. This is really great for a scarf because you don't get an ugly wrong side. And you can still do color work. No ends to weave in either, which is really great. Little or no ends. So let's bind off. So we want to have a nice edge here that's going to bind off and look like our cast on edge. So what we're going to do, we're going to treat that first stitch just like we always have, the first pair, as a single stitch. and we'll knit it. Now what we're going to do for the subsequent pairs is we're going to treat both stitches of the pair as if it's a single stitch. So we will knit both of those strands together, and then we will lift the first pair over the second pair. And we'll work that all the way across, just like a regular bind off, except that when we bind off, we'll knit both of those stitches together, both of those loops, as a single stitch. So first we treated them as a single stitch for a purpose of a box on the chart, and now we're treating them as a single stitch for the bind off. So we'll just knit them both together and then drop the old pair over the new pair. Let's see it close up. So you see we're just going to knit those two strands together. Pick up the older pair and drop it over the newer pair, just like in a regular bind off, except with the two strands. This is going to give you a nice two-colored edge as well. A nice little finish. See how we get that nice two-colored loop. So when we get to the end, just like we would with a regular bind off, we're going to cut and then pull both strands through both loops, treating it as if it's a single strand of yarn. And there you have it, double knitting. You can get a free pattern for a Paris coffee cozy on planetpearl.com to practice your new double knitting skills. I think it's easy peasy. Although it makes Tally Bell a little dizzy, lay down, honey, it'll pass. Come visit us soon at planetpearl.com.